Welcome back, my friends. In today's episode, I want to talk about the one key thing that most people miss out in their marketing, in their sales, and honestly, even in their own personal transformation. And it is the big word that we all talk. It's the secret word, and it's called motivation. You see, whether you are trying to figure out your marketing for your business, trying to figure out how to get yourself motivated, or trying to get someone to get motivated to buy from you, you need to understand either yourself or the market that you are talking to. And so one of the biggest lessons that you have to learn is you have to master human nature. You must master human psychology. You must understand how people work and think. Because if you don't understand how people work and think, how can you get them to take action into their best behaviors? How can you get them to move? So in today's episode, I'm just going to be doing a brain dump. I've been reading this book, and it is called Read People Like a Book. Get yourself a copy, guys. Great value in here. Honestly, sums up a lot of the stuff that I've been learning. And I'm only going to focus on one section. And like I said, it is motivation. So I'm going to use this as the main thing that I'm focusing on. But some of the insights that I've been getting and just kind of giving myself a review and to give you guys, let's not forget, this is Flow with France. And I'm your host, Flo. So let's jump in today. In today's lesson, I want to focus on helping you understanding human nature, human psychology, so you can use it to whether increase your marketing abilities, increase your sales abilities, or even just improve the results that you get for your clients. Because once you understand what motivates an individual and you understand how to actually use that to your advantage to make people make good decisions in their lives, then you will start to change, not even just your other people, but also yourself. Because remember, in this channel, my goal is to help you become the best version of you, because when you grow, your business grows. And so when you know how to make yourself grow, it's easier to make other people grow. But it's not that easy, because people will fight tooth and nail to stay the same. And your job is to help them stop self-sabotaging, because that's what we all do. We self-sabotage. But without further ado, let's start with the episode. And so where I want to start is, right, it's like, most people don't realize where most motivation comes from. You gotta understand, and I think I've talked about it in my content, is that there's two versions of an individual, and there's two versions of you, two versions of me. And and it has to do with your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. The 10% and the 90%. Right? You see, me right here, right now, I'm consciously aware of what I'm doing. I am at the same time also acting and moving and doing things subconsciously that I don't pay attention to. Breathing, moving, doing the hand gestures. Those things are subconscious. They're just part of me trying to get the information across to you. So we all have this duality within us. And a lot of us have an ego associated with that, right? And the ego is the sense of who you are, how you recognize, how you show up today, how you act, right? And I like to think your ego as and I want to make this simple. Your ego is your mental map of the world. Based on your experiences, your unique subjective view on the world, you went through a couple things that have given you positive or negative results, and you have built your version of the world through your mind and through your experience, just like I have. We all have subjective realities. We all have our realities. Like me and you can see the same event, but we can look at it from a different perspective, because you're not me and I'm not you. And so one of the things, even just learning for marketing, right, and even learning for transformation in sales, is understanding that you need to enter the world of your prospect. You need to enter the world of your client. You need to enter the world of your consumer. All companies do this. They know who they're speaking to. And I talked about it in having your dream client profile in one of my earlier videos, is really understanding the person that you're talking to. What's going on in their mind, because they have a set worldview of things. And because of that set worldview of things, they're either getting what they want or they're not getting what they want. And that's what you need to realize. And so how do we determine the motivation? Guys, I'm going to go deep here because this book had a lot of gems. But please stay with me and leave comments below. If nothing made sense, then tell me this video sucked. Oh man, if something makes sense, write it down, let me know. If you need me to explain things a little bit better, just let me know. I want to be a helpful person who gives out information, and I'm going to be studying this stuff for myself just to give out to y'all for free because I love y'all like that. All right, so let's jump into it. So we all have a mental map of the world, and this mental map is based off all the experiences, like I said. And so one of the biggest things that you understand is like, what is, let's say this is the person, and in here is their identity, the person. But you got to understand what determines that individual. What is that? How is our ego formed? So one of the things that the book talks about, and this is really like knowing that all these things are used to help you get a better sense of reading people. Also, this also works for dating, guys. But reading people to kind of give a size up of this personality, the size up of the individual. But what most people don't like to talk about is all of us have a shadow. And what the shadow is, it is the repressed parts of ourselves that we have pushed down, right? Just because you don't like something certain about yourself doesn't mean it went away. We just push it down. You have certain characteristics that you may consider unattractive. You may consider they don't make you feel good, right? And it's because when you were growing up, some experience, someone told you they didn't like this, or you took some type of internalization of some experience and you made it like, this is like, you pushed it down. For me, I'll be a little vulnerable, right? I'm a very emotional man, right? Growing up, I was an emotional man, but because other people tell me men don't cry, men don't share their emotions, I had to suppress that part of myself. And I became a little stunted emotionally because I was suppressing that stuff myself, because I didn't feel like it was right or correct to share or put that part of myself because it'll be judged, and other people tell me, no, that's not how a man's supposed to be. And screw those guys. Personally, I've been doing my own soul work. This is why I think it's important for us to do shadow work. So this is really more of doing personal work for yourself, is that we all have shadows, and those shadows are repressed desires. We all have repressed desires, things that we don't want to talk about, but we all kind of want them, whether you're consciously aware or not aware. Most of us are not consciously aware that our shadow is dictating how we show up today, right? It comes out, and you want to look at it as, it comes out whether we want to or not. It's those moments of irrationality where you kind of like lose all rational thought. For example, I used to always say yes. I was a yes man. Someone asked me for a favor, I said yes, 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 yes. Now, whether I wanted to do the favor or not, I'd say yes, right? Internally, I'd hold a little resentment. Now, I didn't get mad about it. I would hold that resentment until I got to a point where I would snap and explode on the person, where I was constantly saying yes. Now, I got out of character. I became irrational, because remember, we are both rational and irrational beings. And I came to the conclusion that was my shadow self. I haven't created boundaries within myself and with others. And so that part of me kept on I kept on repeating the same pattern. Maybe your clients are repeating that pattern. Maybe you're repeating the pattern. But most of us have repressed shadows, and most of us don't actually know how to process those repressed shadows. I think Robert Greene in his book talks about that most of us are half humans. If I remember, like we're not fully integrated beings because we have a repressed side of ourselves that we don't want to integrate within the wholeness of ourselves. So most of us are not fully integrated. Now, I know that's a stretch for all y'all, and I'm not going to go into all the examples, but you want to look at the times when you are irrational, where you literally feel out of control, right? And some of us have the awareness to notice it, and some of us don't. Guys, most people are not aware. Just going to give you that. And if you look at the Pareto rule, the 80-20, right? The 80% of the results come from 20% of the people. Most people are not aware of how they create the results in their lives because we are living on autopilot, because a lot of our programs are subconscious programs, and that subconscious a little bit is based off the shadow, the repressed side of ourselves, right? If you have something that you've been repressing, it's always going to show up. For example, corn. I don't know if you can say the other word, but for example, corn. Now, when you repress your natural sexual desires as a man, you are still looking for an outlet. It's not like the desire goes away. You look for an outlet, and most of us go into corn to get that outlet out. Is that healthy? I don't think so. But we repress that side of ourselves. We don't understand that you are a sexual man. You were born that way. Nothing is wrong with you. I know society may try to repress masculinity to a certain extent, but do not repress it. Do not follow society. If you guys know history, you understand that throughout history, society has always been wrong. It's always been the individuals who have seen the injustices in this world and stood up and said, enough is enough, and made changes. Now, you have to ask yourself, I kind of went on a little tangent here, but I just wanted to kind of really reinforce that we all have shadow sides, and most of us are not integrating that shadow side. And your goal is to integrate the shadow side of yourself, because in that integration, you become more of a fuller human being. I've been doing that integration, and I've been feeling great, waking up with energy. I no longer try to repress parts of me that I think are wrong or that people wouldn't accept. They're going to love me or they're going to hate me. I really don't care, because at the end of the day, they don't love themselves. So why should I care what anybody else thinks? Nor should you. But let's jump into the other thing, right? You want to look at the shadow as a way to understand the psyche of the individuals, because we all have it. We all have secret desires that we wouldn't say out loud because we're too afraid, or fears that we wouldn't say out loud because we're too afraid. One of the steps to claiming your power, to coming up as the best version of yourself, and to even doing that for your clients, is saying it out loud, saying the quiet part out loud. Taking back control and claiming you are a human being. You are both good and bad. We live between the in-between worlds. You are a spirit and an animal. You are both. You are made in the image of God, but you also have animalistic nature. We are both. Acceptance is the way, my friends, and forgiveness is the way. But enough about the shadow. Let's jump into the next thing. Not only does our shadow live, but growing up, we have a natural personality that we are born with. And that personality is called your inner child. You see, you were born perfect. I truly believe that. God gave you everything that you ever need, your natural talents, abilities, and your natural attractive qualities. And, in my older video, I talk about having an attractive character. There's something seductive about you. There's something attractive about you. But throughout history, throughout life, your parents, your school, your society tells you you shouldn't be doing that. You should do this. And in that process, you are repressing your inner child. You are not allowing your inner child to fully allow itself to create and be who he or she is supposed to be. And this is how the shadow gets created. The shadow is the repressed side of your inner child. Because when you were growing up, you were told some things are wrong, some things are bad. But remember, these people who told you that what is wrong, what is bad, they're human. Who gets to determine what is wrong and bad? Who decides that? Other than you, made in the image of God. Now, what I like to look at it for myself, because I understand the universal laws, the law of polarity, law of cause and effect, is there's actions and there's consequences to all actions. Now, if there's consequences to all actions, I look at the action, I take the action. I don't let somebody else tell me what is good or bad. I take the action and I ask for myself, does this align with the future version of me that I want to be, or does it not? And if it does not align, then I won't do it anymore, because you understand through awareness and through understanding that there's certain consequences with the actions that you're taking, right? Whatever your inner child wants, speak to him, connect to her. Whatever that may be for you, because the inner child still lives within us. There's studies done that says that the inner child is still there. And I think when you can learn how to connect your inner child, get rid of your shadow, when you start doing that work for yourself, you become more of a whole person. But when you understand these concepts for yourself, you understand that everybody else is running through the same concepts in their own subconscious programming. And it's your job to, honestly, get into the programming. That's what every corporation, every TV show, every politician, that's what everyone around you is doing. Now, you may look at this as good or bad. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if you're not playing the game, then you're losing the game, in my opinion. So I'd rather be playing and using these powers for good than evil, because there are people who are evil who are using these powers for evil, guys. Just because you're not playing doesn't mean it's not happening. Because you are constantly being programmed and bombarded by things 24/7. Everybody's fighting for your attention. Everybody's trying to get a space within your inner world of your mind. Guys, this is all the top. I didn't plan this content. I'm just sharing what I think from my experiences, from my understanding, from what I'm getting in this book. Hopefully it makes sense. Hopefully maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. Let's talk about it. I want to know. I want to know what's on your mind. But let's jump into the next thing. So when you understand that everybody has an inner child, everybody has a shadow, your job as a marketer, as a salesperson, or even as a person doing his own personal transformation is to understand your inner child and the shadow, the parts that you repress. Because in that process, as you gain awareness, you can start to see yourself and forgive yourself and parent yourself to the proper way of the life and the purpose that you want to live for yourself. Don't I want you to look at your parents' lives. I want you to look at the people's lives that you've taken advice from. If they're living lives that you do not want, their advice is bad. That's simple. We want to adopt things that only allow us to get closer to that purpose, closer to that center of who we think or believe in our soul that we are, right? Because I think a life that is worth living is a life full of purpose, a life full of no attachments to things that other people may say right or wrong. You deserve to be happy. And if other people's opinions are making you unhappy, it's time to let them go. Now, if you're not willing to let them go and you're willing to stay this version of yourself because you love being in pain, I can't do anything about that for you. You're on your own, that, buddy. But if you're someone who wants to become the best version of themselves, because remember, the best version of you already exists within you. The problem is that dirt got thrown onto that best person, that inner child, that natural spark, that created divine being that is you, that is a part of the all, that is part of God, because you are made in his image. Don't forget that. So you understand you have a shadow. You understand that there's an inner child that's still there. And your experiences, beliefs, rules of the world, your values have created your ego. It's all mosh pit of different things that we've gone through that created this ego of yours, right? We created ego so that we can actually learn how to interact and move through this world. Now, most of us like to think our ego is set and fixed. Some of it is, I don't think so. I don't think it is. And so and you guys got to notice this, right? Is when with your ego, right? As soon as you try to change who you are, because the studies show that most of us don't change. I think we stop growing about 30, mentally, physically. Mentally, I would say, and emotionally. Most of us don't even grow emotionally. But we have an ego that's set for, there's a point where it stops growing. This is your ego. This is the identity of me, who I am, rah, 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 right? But that ego is limited because that ego was created from childhood experiences from your parents, your friends, society, school. And as you guys can see, the world's kind of going to shit. And if we trusted everyone else to make those decisions for us to create who our identity is, and you're not getting, and this is for the people who are not getting the correct results in their lives, right? If you're not getting the things that you want, if you don't feel like you are having that drive, that purpose, then you need to let go of this person. Now, something crazy happens when you start to change. And this is what happens to everybody, right? The ego will defend itself. It won't let you change because it likes being here. It likes being you, the individual that is maybe happy sometimes, happy, maybe not happy sometimes. It likes it. And so it will try to defend itself. It will try to take you off the path. Your job as a coach, your job as a marketer, your job as a salesman is to help break down people's egos and create new ones. Because a lot of us don't know how to do that. I didn't know how to do that. It took years for me to learn how to do that. I'm going to try to give it to you guys in the best way I can, but I promise you're not going to learn it how to do in this video. It's going to take you years. Trial and error, trying to figure out the shortcuts. I just know more now. I just have better shortcuts because I've been studying human nature. I've been studying people. I've been studying marketing, sales, transformation, because I wanted to know what made people tick. I wanted to know what made me tick. How could I change my image, change who I am? Right? You will never rise above your self-conception. However you see yourself in your mind, your ego, you will not rise above it. If you want more out of life, you need to change this person. You got to create a new ego because you're fluid, my friend. You are the spirit. You are the imagination of God himself. And you have the ability to create whatever reality that you want as long as you're willing to allow that new version of yourself to be created. So hopefully you guys have an idea, right? Your ego. You understand people's egos. We all have them, defensive. And we have our inner child, our shadow, and our job as individuals who are trying to make changes in individuals is to understand this and communicate to it effectively and remove all limiting beliefs and give our clients, our people, the masses, empowering beliefs that help them get what they want and not what they don't want. I heard from one of my other coaches, and he talks about most of us focus on what we don't want. Most of us are thinking about the same 90%, the same thoughts of yesterday and the prior day and the prior day. And so we're creating the same ego every single day. Now you have time on your side. You can change your ego over time. It's not an overnight thing. It is a process of change, of transformation. But what happens to most of us is that the ego will try everything in its power to defend itself. When you try to get rid of a habit, most of us can't break habits because the ego still associate with that habit. And so as soon as you fall off, as soon as you say, hey, one little bite, one little hit won't hurt, then you get right back into the programming because the programming has been reinforced by time, repetition. What you do daily has an effect on you. This is why they say the smallest things matter. They're important. They're valuable. Every action you take is having an effect on the future version of yourself. The smallest actions, waking up at 4 o'clock, maybe waking up at 7, the smallest of actions are causing a ripple effect on the wave of time. Guys, I'm kind of just ranting here, but I hope this all makes sense. I'm just kind of flowing and allowing the God within me to kind of let the information come out. But I'll jump into my next topic. So as you understand the ego, their dream client profile, you understand their psyche, and you can communicate with them. You got to understand, most people are motivated by pain and pleasure. I think you all have heard of that. But most people are more motivated by pain than pleasure. So the example the book talks about is if you saw a treasure chest full of gold right in front of you, right? You would probably, and that would set you up for life. But in that process, a truck was coming and it was going to hit you if you went for that treasure chest. You would get out of the way and jump. And this is instinct, guys. This is survival instinct. You would get out of the way of the truck coming at you. Why? Because pain is a bigger motivator than pleasure, right? And this is why in your content, in your marketing, and in everything you do, even in sales, in all your process, you must use the two motivators, pain and pleasure, to help individuals. Because what happened is inside people's minds, the reason why they make bad decisions or decisions that will not give them the best quality result for themselves is because their pain and pleasure has been all put out of whack. Because, right, remember what I said at the beginning, we all have a subjective mind. We all just have gone through experiences and have decided what is painful and what was pleasurable. And no two person are the same. We all created something. Now we may have commonalities because we've all been programmed by the same society, same school, something with slight variations, right? We may have some similarities, but most of the time, most of our pain and pleasure is out of whack. And so one of the things, and yes, you must be a psychiatrist in this process. You need to be able to get into their mind and reframe pain and pleasure, right? There's a pain associated to starting your new business instead of a pleasure. You want to start your new business. You want to go after your goals, but there's a pain associated with it, right? There's a pain associated with it. And so when you can reframe things within your own mind, where if mentally and emotionally, when you have the mind and heart working together, then you will start to take actions. I can only use myself as an experience and the clients that I've helped. I understood this, and in that process was able to help them start seeing it for themselves. And when you're able to do that for yourself, you're able to change your life. Now, you will get distracted, guys. I'm just going to be honest. Remember, the defense of the ego creeping in to fight you back, or like to say the devil, the outwitting the devil, right? That part of you that is good and bad, right? We all have the universal laws within us. And so when you're motivated by pain and pleasure, you keep those in mind. Even for your clientele, you keep the pain and pleasure in mind. But not only that, people are also motivated by, and I love Tony Robbins, I think Tony Robbins came with it, was the 6 human needs. In the book, the author talks about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I think that's important too. I'm not going to go through Maslow's hierarchy of needs because I think we all understand most of us need, the basics, physiological stuff like food, a safety, right? There's like, I think it was a ladder of different needs that we must satisfy before we can go to the next need. And the highest need that all of us are looking for, whether we admit it or not, is self-actualization, to be the best version of ourselves. Why? Because we are made in the image of God. Everything in this universe, everything in this world is born to evolve, is our natural state. But as humans, we get to choose whether we evolve or not. You're either growing or you're dying. Law of perpetual transmutation. You got to understand that. Everything on this earth is growing or dying. It's the cycle of life. I think y'all get that. Y'all seen Lion King, haven't you? But enough of that. But I want to jump into the 6 human needs. We all have these 6 human needs within us. Motivating factors, right? We had pain and pleasure, talked about a bit, but we have the 6 human needs that are causing us, that will motivate us to take action. And whether you are in those 6 human needs, there are positives aspects to it, but there's also negative one. If you are not satisfying in the positive light, you are satisfying in the negative light. Bad outcomes, bad experiences, things that you don't want, things that don't make you feel good about yourself. And so let's jump into the 6 human needs. Most of us are looking for certainty in our lives, right? Hence why we get our paycheck every 2 weeks. It's certain. As long as I go work, I get my paycheck, I can pay my rent, everything's certain. But as soon as things go awry in that schedule, maybe you get sick, maybe something happens. Oh my God, I'm stressed. Things are happening, a divorce. These things that stop the rhythmic part of your life. We're all seeking certainty, but we're humans. We're crazy. We also seek uncertainty. And uncertainty, just another word, variety, surprise. That's why you can't work your job all year round and be like, I can do this another. That's why we take vacations. That's why we travel the world, because we're looking for variety. A lot of us are being motivated in some shape or form in our decisions and our daily habits. Now, whether you're consciously aware or subconsciously aware, most of us are not consciously aware. This is why it's so important to know thyself. When you know thyself, when you know you to your core as an individual, Jesus said it, right? Know thyself, the kingdom of heaven within you. When you know yourself well, you can understand what's motivating you to take action. Now, I get it. Most people are lazy. Why? Because we seek to be efficient. Humans are natural procrastinators because we are taught to, it's ingrained in us to conserve energy. Just part of our DNA, just part of millions of years of evolution, guys. Like, don't say you're a procrastinator. It's just you have been in the habit of procrastination, okay? And so you have certainty and uncertainty, variety. Like I said, you're looking for surprise. You're looking for change. That's why some guys, right? This is what, a lot of guys go after new women, right? Because looking for something new. Change, right? It's like all these things are human motivators. They're all affecting us on a subconscious level because we're just living consciously. If we were trying to focus on all this, we would get cognitive overload. We would get so overwhelmed with all the things that we have to think about that we would shut down, which most of us do. Most of us shut down, right? Because we get stressors, etc. So the next thing that most of us are looking for, and there's 6 human needs you want to keep in mind, because we don't feel satisfied until we satisfy those needs. That's why we seek them. Now, if you are aware of them or not, whether you're ignoring them or suppressing them, right? You are always seeking these things because it is part of your makeup. It is part of your DNA. And so the other human needs we're all looking for significance, right? We want to be stars. We want to be known for something. We want to be great. Right? Every adventure started with someone going and is like, I want to make my mark on the world. That doesn't go away. It's within us. Now, in these needs, guys, we all have different varying levels of needs based on how we grew up, based on our experience. Everybody's different. Everybody is different. Okay? But when you can start to break these things down into the psyche of an individual, you can start to have a better understanding of how you can help that person get the results that they're looking for. Because at the end of it, that's what we're trying to do, is help people get results, help people grow, help people be the best version of themselves. Guys, all this information can be used for evil. And guys, it is already being used for evil. But I'm sharing this information because a lot of time for me, I didn't want to share this information. Why? Because I think that was the scarcity programming. The information's out there. It's free. It's available. Right? I don't have to do anything. Other people are using it. Other people are studying it. And I got it as a bad belief that I got from my friend. Don't tell anybody. Keep this all a secret. No, not doing that. That's a horrible belief. Share everything. Nothing is new under the sun. Every information is already available. Someone's probably going to say this information in some other way. This is how I've been getting this information of just studying people, studying human nature. So we're all looking to be great. But at the same time, we want to separate ourselves. I got dreads because I want to separate. Changed the color of my dreads because I wanted to separate. I wanted to be unique. But at the same time, we're all looking for connection. Humans are social animals. Can't do this all alone. We're looking for connection. We're looking for love. We're looking to find a community at the same time. You see, we're all looking for these needs to be satisfied. And when we don't have those needs satisfied, we find destructive habits and outlets to actually try to satisfy them. But they never get satisfied because we haven't had positive outlets to help us really feel good about the actions that we're taking. In some shape or form, we're seeking these things. And the last two got from, like I said, Tony Robbins, is growth and contribution. Remember what I said, if you're not growing, you're dying. Now, I'm not saying you have to be growing all the time, right? Because there are certain points where you reach stages in your life where like, I'm happy, I'm comfortable. You don't have to grow anymore. This is just what I like. You can have that, right? To each their own on whatever that may be. We all have different varying needs. And we want to contribute to society in some shape or form. In some shape or form. And everybody has these different needs, and some may be more important to others than to you, to me. We all have these different things that create our identity. Right? When you can just even let's take it apart for yourself. When you can look at your motivation, when you can break your psyche down, break who you are, and really get clear on who you are and who you want to be and how you want to show up, life just is different. You walk different because you're certain, guys, because you're confident. Confident and certainty, kind of the same thing, guys. But when you don't know where you're going, you lack direction, you are uncertain. It makes you have anxiety, stress, because you don't have a direction that you're moving towards. So all these things are relevant. They're all important, right? I wanted to share this information because it was in my head. Just wanted to share it out. And hopefully it was helpful. Hopefully y'all like this video. I'm kind of going to leave it out there. But helping you understand the psyche of the individual will help you not only in your business, but also for your own personal transformation. Because I truly believe that if you're not growing, you're dying. And if your business, remember, you grow, your business grows. When you can start to understand you and how you grow and what motivates to keep that energy moving upwards, everything changes. You become the best version of yourself. So that's it. Appreciate y'all. If you like the content, come subscribe, my G. Come join the journey. I'm going to be sharing, documenting, don't create. Well, maybe do a little bit both, right? Because remember, there are no limitations in anything. But I'll see you in the next video.